You know, Pelosi said, oh, we won't invite you for the State of the Union to Congress. Trump's like, great, you're not getting military transport, which under the executive is most of the planes that Congress is using. So, by the way, she's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, billions she swindled out and paid to her husband and stuff. So it's really hilarious that Pelosi can still take a trip the government will pay for, you know, on commercial. But she has to fly commercial, so because she flies around on a jet as big as Air Force One. Unbelievable. So that is hilarious. That is absolutely, totally hilarious. But this has reached Civil War levels in the government, and I'm glad Trump's standing up.
And first, we want to continue talking about this social media deplatforming. It's beyond obvious now. I wish I could say that I was surprised by this flap over Roku, the Roku app, but it's really just part of the seamless effort of the powers that be to deplatform dissidents. You know, in China, they just have the government do it, and they call it the social credit system. And I think it's in a way more effective here because we have the deplatforming done under the veneer of private corporations. You know, so you can say, well, I mean, Twitter, Facebook, they've kicked you off, but they're just private organizations. But if the effect is that you have basically gotten your microphone cut off, what's the difference? You know, I'm currently on my 7th 30-day Facebook ban in less than a year and a half. So if you do the math, they'll let me stay on for about a month, then they'll kick me off for a month. And what I'm concluding from that, it's kind of like, I think they're trying to send me the message that they just don't want me around, but they can't point to anything and say, you know, here's a violation of terms of service. So they're just making it such a hassle that you'll just give up and quit. And I might. I sort of look at it like a beaten wife looking at a bad marriage. You know, you keep saying, well, I mean, he's really great sometimes. You know, he takes me out to wonderful dinners. It's just that then he'll slap me around and beat me when I get home. Then sooner or later, the wife has to say, I've just got to leave. Even though the guy's rich, he's got a fancy house and fancy cars, it's an abusive relationship. So I don't know if I'll be back on Facebook at all. You know, last fall, a couple months ago, I was permabanned from Twitter. I'd never been suspended, nothing. I was permabanned over a burqa meme that didn't even name a religion. And, you know, when trying to send in the appeals, all you get back is a form response, you know, just a robo response that says that their terms of service say that you can't post anything that's hateful towards any religious groups. Well, as we've seen with Twitter bowing down to Islam, Pakistani Sharia judges can demand that they kick people off of Twitter, at least in Pakistan, but this seems to be extending globally. So essentially, what Sharia blasphemy laws mean is anything that offends any Muslims. And Twitter is fine with that. So the last place that you can find me if you actually want to see what I'm posting, and what I post is what I'm reading, what I'm studying. So if you want to know what I'm looking at, you can find me still on freezoxy.com. That's about it. And, you know, so the light, the spotlight grows smaller and smaller until I guess eventually it blinks out. But that's just the way it is. And my overall point here is it's up to you, the individual viewer, internet user, to keep searching for the truth. It may take a few more clicks. You may have to do some more searching. You know, otherwise, you know, the mass brainwashing, there's no doubt the mass brainwashing works. That's the overall effect that's going on. I'm sure we've all watched the Gillette ad about 20 times by now, or maybe you can't stand to watch it. I can't either, but I've seen clips of it while watching the YouTube videos about it by a lot of smart people like Paul Joseph Watson. And there's no doubt that there's a social push, a real societal attack going on to tear down the pillars of Western civilization. And one of the most important pillars of that civilization is, let's face it, strong European Christian or Christian heterosexual males. Why heterosexual? Because the family is the building block of any successful, long-lasting society. If you want to wreck a society, wreck the family. So that's how it's being done at the individual level. Hollywood and Madison Avenue, they push out the themes that white men, Christian white heterosexual men, are the evil ones. They're the target. And what this does is it signals to the population at large that white Christian heterosexual men are fair game. If you created an ad campaign or any kind of posters, anything, attacking any other group just for being a member of the group, women, gays, an ethnic minority, it would never fly. You'd be off the air in seconds. Yet white Christian heterosexual men, you can make fun of them. They're buffoons, they're idiots, they're cucks. You need a strong minority man to come in and save the women, like on Bird Box. That it's just so pervasive. It's really disgusting. So what we have to do is just be strong and keep looking for the truth everywhere that we can. So that the powers that be, I don't know what you want to call it, if it's a conspiracy, if these people don't meet in the same room, I don't think, but they all think like a Borg. The collective mind hive that you find in New York and in Hollywood, that collective mind hive is totally pushing out the same message. And it's attacking at the individual level to demoralize boys, to convince them that it's no use even looking for a woman, no use, you'll never have a family, you'll never be able to support and raise a family. And at the same time, at the national level, we're watching this push for open borders to just flood the country with third world people that don't speak English, don't share our values, don't know or care what the Constitution is. And I came up with a little equation. It's kind of funny. I call it the Dunning-Kruger effect plus Cloward-Piven. That's the Democrat plan. That's the Democrat strategy. So if you assist the lower, the morons of your society in every way to have more children, basically pay them to have children, ensure that they get the vote. If they don't get out to vote, you'll vote harvest for them. You'll go door to door, with goons convincing them to sign a piece of paper so that the Democrats will count their vote. You put that together with the Cloward-Piven strategy, which is just overwhelm the welfare system until it collapses and only a national solution is left. That's what we've got. And if you're a Christian of European heritage in this country, it should by now feel a lot like you're a Jew in Germany in, say, the late 1920s. What's going to be coming is an ugly period in our history. And I thank God every day for the wisdom of our founding fathers who gave us the Bill of Rights, including the First Amendment, so that they can't, if I can find a channel to talk, they can't just come into the room and say, you're not allowed to say that. Now, they can kick me off Twitter, they can kick me off Facebook, but I'll still find a way. We'll still find a way to get the message out. We're never going to quit. We're going to keep pushing. And eventually, if they do come after us, because all of this messaging, it's clearly the battle space preparation for a genocide to come. They're conditioning people to accept that old, evil, white, heterosexual men need to be, thrown out, gotten out of power, one way or the other. And we've said it before and we'll say it again. The Second Amendment backs up the First Amendment. So they would be glad to throw us on the boxcars and take us to gulags. They've just got one problem left. They have to figure out how to defang and declaw us first. And believe me, they would send us to gulags if they could. And Trump is not going to be around forever. And eventually it's going to be President Kamala Harris or Alexandria Ocasio. And then we'll see what happens next. Alex mentioned at the end of the last hour, is Trump seemed to be faltering. I think that this feud with Nancy Pelosi, it's kind of funny. not giving her the military airlift. But, you know, with the State of the Union looming on the horizon, I would wish that he was focused like a laser beam on that address, because that could really be a deal changer, a real paradigm shifter. There's not going to be another opportunity like the State of the Union address to really make the case, for example, for the border wall. I mean, how many people realize that the border wall funding equals 1/10 of 1% of the budget? You know, the Pentagon can lose or not account for $100 billion. Nobody cares. We've spent, I don't know how many trillions in Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq over the last 20 years. And the Democrats won't give $5 billion toward a border wall. And what this does, it absolutely proves that the top most important Democrat priority is to keep the borders open so that they can keep the great replacement going. And this is something that working class Americans, you know, apolitical people that maybe have given up on the political process, they get it when they see people flooding into the country. You know, we don't see it much on a day-by-day basis, but it's happening. And I was very heartened to see President Trump just spoke about a man named Chilton, who is a rancher in Arizona. He owns a pretty huge ranch, and this guy Jim Chilton has been funding these border cameras, you know, the hidden cameras that show guys like columns of troops. They're wearing camouflage. They have matching hats. They're wearing camouflage backpacks, presumably full of drugs, but who knows what's in them. No women, no children. They're just streaming through the border. They have hours and hours of this video footage. And supposedly Trump has seen this video footage now. You can see it too. Go to this website. It's a very good website. It's called secureborderintel.org. And, you know, there are people, private citizens, who have been putting out their own trail cameras along the border and catching it. The Border Patrol can't be everywhere. That's why we need a barrier. When there's nothing but, like, you know, a 3-strand broken down cattle fence along the border, then the few Border Patrol on duty have to defend in depth back 50, 100 miles. If there's an actual wall, an actual border barrier, then they can just watch the wall and nobody's going to get over. If they see anybody jumping over the wall, they can pounce on them. But as it is, it's a joke. We have no border. I wish at the State of the Union that President Trump would show some of that video that you just saw. You can go to Secure Border Intel, you can see hours and hours of that video of just hundreds and hundreds of men on a nightly basis bringing backpacks into the country. What's in it? I don't know what kind of drugs, anything. There's an old joke. How do you smuggle a suitcase nuke into America? You hide it in a pack full of drugs because it's going to get through. And there's never been a low-hanging curveball to hit out of the park like this issue of the border wall. So I hope that Trump is really geared up for an amazing State of the Union address. But if he can't do it, then at least he'll have served as a canary in the coal mine. If he's impeached, if he's forced out of office, if, God forbid, you know, some nutcase gets to him and he's taken out like other presidents have been before him, then we'll know that the deep state is just too strong, that we have a sham republic where these senior executive service deep state overlords are going to run it no matter who we elect to put in the White House. If Trump is taken out, at least we'll know that for a fact. You know, another point to be made about this border invasion, not only so for the Democrats, it's a beautiful scenario. They get the great replacement. Our families get drugs, you know, flooding into every small town, heroin, fentanyl. It's coming from Mexico. And the Democrats don't care because all they want is to replace natural-born Americans with third worlders who will vote Democrat forever. just to get on welfare, get the free medical, the free health care, the free education. So, you know, if Trump has the killer State of the Union address, and I mean, I expect him to be heckled, I expect him to be booed, there may be a Democrat walkout, that will not work for them. That will actually make Trump look better if they do that, because he'll look like the mature adult. He stayed in Washington during the entire, you know, Christmas vacation. He didn't bail out and go to a beach in Puerto Rico like the Democrats did. You know, and so another point about the masses, these caravans, when people are sent to the border, remember the timing and location of where these groups cross is set by the drug cartels. And what the cartels do is flood a zone with refugees, particularly, you know, the women and children. They know that will draw all the Border Patrol, the ICE, the customs people away from the sector where they're going to push these patrols of men carrying the drugs in. The Democrats don't care. It would be so easy to illustrate how this works. You know, the people get pushed in here, all the Border Patrol are taken to that area because goodness knows taking care of a sick kid from Guatemala is priority number one. And if 100 guys carrying heroin are trooping in 10 miles east or west, they never see it. The private ranchers see it. They've got the video. We'll never see it on the mainstream media, but it's pathetic, and it's embarrassing that we have a traitor class that's embedded deeply into the government, primarily the senior executive service. That's the Peter Strzok's, all of those people. They're all SES. The media, like Anderson Cooper, Mockingbird Cooper, the CIA plant, these guys are completely on board with the deep state. The intelligence services have been corrupted, co-opted by the deep state, and the entire Democrat Party and probably half of the Republicans. I mean, it's an embarrassment, actually. All right, enough on that rant. Let's go to the calls now. It's 877-789-ALEX, 789-2539, and we have time for a quick call. Quick call on here. How about MJ, right in the belly of the beast in Washington, D.C.? Go ahead, MJ.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
It's crazy. You watch the news, and it's almost like you're in a cult nowadays, is how I feel.
Yes.
You know, you were talking about the racism issue. People go to this, and it's I forget what the term is in when you're talking about cult. It's a mind or thought-stopping tautology, essentially. People just immediately go to, oh, you're racist because you have an opinion that I don't like, and it has to do with where people come from, or it has to do issues that are tangentially related to race. So I'm just going to dismiss it off the cuff because of that.
Yeah, they're NPCs. They're brainwashed NPCs.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And I think part of that might be, I would like to get your thoughts, discrimination versus prejudice, right? I mean, discrimination of all kinds has now been lumped into racism, and along with prejudice as this inherently evil thing, and discrimination is necessary. If you can't tell between things, then you're not using critical thought.
Yeah, with Martin Luther King Day coming up, how about we get back to the content of your character instead of the color of your skin? How about we get back to a meritocracy? That would be an amazing thought. But that's almost like a joke now. We're so far beyond that. Even the STEM field's been infected. Heather McDonald, she's been doing great work on this. And it used to be that, well, it was just the social studies, liberal arts that were infected. But now you can't even get into a master's or doctoral program in the hard sciences without proving that you're a good comrade, without showing your history of social justice warriorship. It's a joke, and you can bet that the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, they're still hiring the smartest, best scientists that they can find. They're not affirmative actioning people into this. Remember that bridge in Miami that fell down? That was a female engineer who was totally unqualified.